to the Soul Fire podcast, where healing is raw, truth is sacred, and your story gets to burn and rebuild in the same breath. I'm Power Coach Alishia, pattern breaker, soul mirror, fire starter, and the unapologetic voice of the burn it down and rise anyways revolution. We don't fluff your wounds, we don't filter your truth, and we don't water down healing so that people stay comfortable. You've spent way too damn long proving your worth to people who only love the version of you that stayed small, quiet, and convenient. If you've ever swallowed your truth to keep the peace, shrunk yourself to stay chosen, or disappeared in your life, this season isn't just a reset or another motivational podcast. This is where you reclaim your voice, your fire, and your fucking self. I'll give you the truth that heals, frameworks that hold, and soul codes that will change how you live, lead, love, and rise. Lovey, come forward. It's time for you to embody your wholeness. And I'm not only leading this season, I'm living it right beside you. Let's fucking go. So welcome to our May 2025 Unlocking Your Divine Assignment monthly theme. We're talking all about letting desire lead and letting your soul choose all month long. Let your desire lead, let your soul choose. And this episode is about not having to do what you're good at if it fucking kills you, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense to be doing what you're good at if it kills you. Now, we could take this perspective into like career and business, and everything that I'm going to talk about today is related. Like it can be related to that. But what I want to talk about is how you show up, like how you hold others and think that like you can hold yourself at the same time, at the same levels, but how you're kind of tricking and fooling yourself. Because, you know, we've been talking about right since the podcast launched, being strong, right? Because that's really the angle that I'm coming from in, you know, my years and 20 years of healing, and just the layers and the layers and the layers and the layers, right? So we're going to continue on with that strength, quote unquote, archetype or strength mask. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to show you what to do instead. So I want you to know that there is a lie of obligation disguised as purpose. And as I've said before on the podcast, I have been healing souls since I was 10 years old, saving lives since I was 10 years old, coaching people through their shit since I was 10 years old. And I know that could be hard to believe. Like, well, how did you know what to say? How did you know to help them? I don't fucking know. I don't know. I don't know why I knew what to say. I don't know why I knew how to help them. What I do know is that I was able to do it. Here's the thing about me and my whole life. Anything that I have been good at, I have doubled down on. And being good at something doesn't mean that you were meant to carry it. See, in my mind, it's like, you know, I'm slaying at, like, I'm so good at this. I'm good at saving people from themselves. And good is an understatement. It's like brilliant. It's the highest level. I am masterful at saving people from themselves. However, one of the things that I've learned is that there's one slight tweak to that. It's not my job to save people from themselves. It's my job to teach them how to save themselves. So my whole life, up until, I don't know, 3 days ago, I have always saved people from themselves. So what I would do is I would see their trauma, their pain, their burdens, their demons, right? Feel them, hear them, see them, connect with them, okay? And when that would happen, I would be automatically, all this is automatic, not conscious. I would automatically pull all of that into my system, my energy, my power, and then spit it back out to them in a way that now we're both holding that. And it wouldn't matter if it was my clients, my children, my mom, my friends, my partners. It doesn't matter. That was just the way that I did it, because I have had a very strong internal capacity to hold more than anyone can hold. And so when someone was holding something that was too heavy for them, I would transmute it through me, my energy, filter it through, and then give them back pieces as I helped strengthen them so that they could hold more of it. However, I would never fully hand it back over. I would always hold a piece of that with and for them so they didn't have to hold it all. And that was horrible for me, right? That killed my soul. And again, it wasn't a conscious thing, it was an automatic thing. That's just how I perceived the energy that I had in me to give. That's how my soul perceived it. That's how my soul processed it. And that's just the way that I fucking showed up. That's the thing that no matter what, I'm the best at. And I was doing everything I could around that energy while dying inside. So I've been doing a massive amount of work over the last 5 weeks. More like the kind of work that I've done in 5 weeks is what the average person would do, I would say, in 3 to 5 years. And that's just because when I am ready to shift and grow and evolve and change, or I should verbalize that differently, when the universe, throws down the, bomb that explodes and lights everything on fire, when I see that, feel that, experience that, I move, right? I move into showing the fuck up. And so I've done some really, really, really deep and transformational work with inside myself over the last 5 weeks. And one of the things that I've realized is, I had all these boxes of other people's shit that, that is part of the weight that I was carrying. Not only that, it was, sucking my energy a little bit at a time because I was holding it and didn't need to be. And it's not like holding it and didn't let it go because, this person's no longer a client or whatever, or that sort of thing. It's just part of what I did. I've always held that. And the heaviest boxes are my oldest son and my two partners. Those are the heaviest boxes I've ever carried in my entire life, not realizing that my own journey, my own, phoenix moments, if you will, was heavy enough for me, and I didn't need to be carrying anybody else's shit. Because here's the deal, and this is the thing that I've really realized about myself is I can carry it. I can carry more than you could possibly imagine. And the thing about the weight that I can carry is you'll look at me and you won't notice that I'm carrying all of that. I absolutely can do that. And I have my whole entire life until a week ago. Literally, I made the decision to give everybody back their boxes of their life's shit, their traumas, their demons, their burdens, the shit that they're avoiding and running away from, and not be there to help them pick up the pieces. I'm there to support them and I'm there to give, my perspective and my advice. But I'm not there to pick up the pieces. That's their fucking job. Here's the information. Go pick up the pieces. Same thing for you, right? In order for me to build this queendom that I'm building, I realized that I was doing that whole transmutation, like bringing in your energy, da da da, everything you're going through, processing through me, holding with my power, blah, blah. I would do that for my clients too. It wasn't, like I said, it's not just to my love relationships or my children. And like, in order for me to build the queendom and change the lives and to do the work that I'm really meant to do, that means that my soul has to be holding me and only me. And that when I do that, the work that I do, I am showing you how to hold your damn self right from the gate. This is how you hold yourself. This is how heavy what you're holding feels. This is how much it's going to collapse you if you keep holding it. And this is how hard the fucking work is to shift through that. Now, you show up, we do the work. You don't show up, we don't. I'm not going to beg you. I'm not going to convince you. I'm not going to over explain. Like, those are old, what I call fragmented Alishia. Like, that's not what I do. Queen Alishia doesn't do that. And so it's like an entire shift because, like I said, I know I can hold it. Yeah, I know I can. There's no doubt in my mind. I've done it my whole fucking life from a very, very, very young age, 10 years old, maybe even younger than that. And the biggest thing that I've realized is just because you can does not mean you should. Let me say that in a different way. Just because you can doesn't mean that it's your place. Just because you can doesn't mean that you are the one that's meant to do that. Being the one who can hold it all doesn't mean that it's your sacred task. And listen, you might be applauded for the role that's quietly killing your fire, but you need to know that performance is not purpose. And it can easily be disguised as that. It could easily be misconstrued as that. And then before you know it, you feel like you're on purpose. You feel like you're on point. You feel like you're validated. You feel like you're needed, right? But what it is actually is a performance for you to fill a void inside of you that you are not looking at and taking the action to fill yourself. And the other thing that I want to mention here is anything that you're going through with someone else that is conflict, that is turbulence, that is struggle, is a mirror of what you're missing your fucking self. Okay? You are missing it yourself. So I'll tell you a story in just a minute because I wasn't thriving. I was performing, but I didn't realize I was. And I don't mean I was being fake. I am not a fucking fake human being. I thought I was on purpose. I thought I was living my purpose. I thought I was showing up in my purpose and what I was born for. I felt like I was being brutally honest with myself because I know that without being honest with yourself at like the deepest or highest of levels, you cannot transform. I am not a performer. I am not a pretender. So this wasn't a conscious thing. I thought that I was thriving. And when I wasn't thriving, I thought it was because I wasn't, taking the time to meditate, journal, read, exercise, the good in, good out. I thought that that's what was going on. And the truth is, sometimes that's what was going on. But the truth is, I was carrying shit that wasn't mine to carry and not doing for myself what my soul actually fucking needed. And the bigger thing is, I wasn't thriving and I was performing and no one could tell the difference, not even me. And that's the work I do, is showing you what the fuck is going on because you think you're on purpose. You think that you're helping. You think you're supportive. You think you're in your role. You think that what you're doing is the good thing and what you're meant to do. And you're missing your nervous system signals that are showing you that it's performance, but you're also missing your nervous system signals that are telling you that that's not right for you. And you're also missing how you are abandoning yourself and treating yourself like you are invisible and like you don't exist. And then you're putting that shit in someone else's lap, hoping that they will pick it up and be there for you and support you and hold you and help you like you do for them. And then when they don't, you're frustrated because you feel alone or you feel unloved or you feel like they don't care or you feel like you don't matter. And the truth is, you don't matter to yourself. You're unloved to yourself. You're abandoning yourself. You're invisible to yourself. Because when you're holding yourself, you'll be able to see if who you want to share with in a vulnerable state, if they are available to hold that. And I don't mean that they have the capacity. I mean, are they available? Meaning, are they open? Are they connected? Or are they shut down and they're just a fucking robot through life? And here you go, boom, I had the worst day. I went through this, I went through that. And then they're like, well, that sucks. That sounds hard. And you're like, fuck you, man. Whether it's a girl or a guy, right? Like, what the fuck, dude? I'm always here for you and you're never here. And then you have this whole cycle. That's because that's a mirror. That's your mirror, bro. That's your mirror saying you aren't doing that for you. Now, this is nuts for me because I've always said this. People cannot treat you the way that you don't already treat yourself. So if someone is like, if you're feeling abandoned or invisible, like you don't matter, unloved, they're not keeping their word, that they're performing, that they're not being true, that they're not being honest, that's your fucking mirror. And when you ignore that because you believe that can't be true, I'm honest, I'm brutally honest, as I would say, that can't be true. But the truth is, people are your fucking mirror. And now that I am, listen, Queen, if this episode lights something up, don't just sit with it. Come rise with us. The Soulfire podcast is your weekly reminder that healing isn't about fixing who you are. It's about remembering who the fuck you've always been. And if you're craving more than just words, if you want community, authentic power, momentum, and soul transformation, then I want you to come join us in the free Star-Guided Soul Healing community. This isn't another group. It's a vortex of women who are done pretending, who are reclaiming their power, their voice, and their divine assignment, and who know they were never meant to do this alone. Inside, we speak truth. We rise with soul-coded frameworks like Rise Times 3 and AUA, plus your own soul-coded values. We break patterns, we burn illusions, and we build empires because we rise. So come be witnessed, come be held, come be at home. Check out the link in the show notes. And please remember to subscribe, share, and send this podcast to a queen who's ready to rise. Now, back to the fire. Coming out the other side of this, still working through the layers and still, putting the last pieces together of this, whole Queen Alishia, I can clearly see how I was collapsing under the weight of carrying everyone else's box of shit, right? Or box of burdens, if you will, if you like alliterations like I do. Then you layer on that I had this idea that the energy that I had to give to each thing was its own energy bar. And when I say I had this idea, this is all like automatic, right? This is all subconscious. I just automatically operated this way. I've spent a lot of time the last 5 weeks alone in introspection and doing a very, very deep work. And so now I'm to the point where I'm getting a lot of downloads from my higher self and my angels and my guides. And I'm being taught a lot of different things from a higher level. And I can see how I abandoned myself. I could see how I wasn't showing up for myself. I could see how, I was holding everyone else's shit. And then when they were not rising for themselves, I was putting my energy into, fighting for them while they weren't fighting for themselves. When I would always say, you can't want something for someone more than they want it for themselves, I'd never thought of me fighting for them when they weren't fighting for themselves as me wanting it more. It was just me doing it. It was just an is, right? And it's weird because I've always said these quotes. I've always, lived by these quotes. I've always believed like, no one can treat you the way you don't already treat yourself and all of these different things and people being mirrors. Like this hasn't been my first experience with this. But one of the things that I realized that I was, utterly failing at is this like kind of operating in compartmental energy. If it was Daniel, then I had this amount of energy for him. If it's G, I have this amount of energy for him. My kids, this amount of energy. My business, this amount of energy. All of these different things. And one of the things that dawned on me over the last couple of days is like, your energy bank is your energy bank for everything. But when you're making decisions, you are not making decisions like you have one energy bank. When I tell you this, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. You're not making decisions like you have one energy bank. You are making decisions like you have multiple energy banks for each of the things that you're doing as you go throughout the day and through your life. So, for example, I had an appointment this morning that I needed to do that was personal with one of my kids. I knew that that was going to take a certain amount of energy. It's stressful. It's a charged environment. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of unknown. I knew that that was going to take energy. I know that now. But if I would have had this appointment with them a month ago, I would have been fucked. Because listen, I'm working about 6 hours a day on my business. But when I'm working on my business, it is fucking fire. Well, between my two businesses, my landscaping business and then my soul healing business, right? And when I'm working that 6 hours, it's fire. I am slaying. And if you're not paying attention in my world, you should be, because the shit that I'm rolling out for free is brilliant. The paid containers are like nothing that you've ever been a part of before. Even if you've been in my world for the last, 8 to 13 years, it's like nothing you've ever experienced before. And I'm hoping that you can tell that even just through the podcast. So for all you OGs, I'm sure you can feel, hear, and just like, connect with this different shift in me, right? But I had the appointment today, and because this came up for me in the last week of thinking about my energy, I'm realizing that, okay, first and foremost, in this huge transformation I'm going through, I only reach about 65% battery charge for energy. That's the highest level I've been able to reach up into this moment that I'm recording this podcast. And I realize that that's the ceiling right now, because the other 35% that I could get up to, so I'm at like 100%, is being throttled by my nervous system recalibrating to the different way that I'm showing up. So all that other 35% is being throttled because of my nervous system, and my nervous system is going through these spikes and panics and anxiousness, and like it's a pretty fucking crazy process that, you'll learn it over time. We'll talk about it over time. So I knew that that was going to take a chunk of my energy. So I realized that it wouldn't be a 6-hour workday today. It would be 2 to 4 hours would be what I had to give based on me thinking about it the day before. Now I can move and adjust that based on my energy, do less, do more based on how I feel. But I looked at my day ahead and went, that's going to take some time and energy from me. It's a situation that's more charged and stressful, and there's unknown. Okay. So I'm probably only going to work 2 to 4 hours, right? Okay. So through the appointment, the 2 to 4 hours, then what do you think you'll have left for the people you love and the people that you're spending the time with? I think, starting at 65%, I probably end up with about 40, maybe 35. Well, I started out a little tired today, so I wasn't at 65%, so that's already less. So I think by the end of the day, I'll be right around 35%. That's okay, because my threshold is 32%. I've decided that when I feel at 32% energy, all output ceases immediately, and I am straight input only. No other output. I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not giving you my energy. I'm not like none of that. You can be in my space, but I am not giving to you. I am now in your space to receive, to be charged, right? If you can. If you're in my space and I feel like you're depleting that and it's going down, I'll ask you to leave so that I can recalibrate, right? So there's certain ways that I am charged between G and Daniel, and I love that. When that's not happening and they're in their shadow side, then I've learned that, okay, it's not good for them to be in my space because they're depleting and they aren't in the frequency to charge. So it's not good for them to be in my space. Generally speaking, if I'm down to 32%, I'm going to take action with, for, and by myself to charge that up to about 45, so that when they come into my space, they're adding to that, not giving it to me. It's not their job, it's mine, right? And so I want you to know that you have one energy bank, and I want you to start thinking about, when you wake up in the morning, what percent are you at? It's very important. What percent are you at on your output, your energy to give other people? And from there is where you move. Do you need to give yourself before you can give output of energy? Even if it's a 10-minute meditation, even if it's answering one journal prompt, even if what is it? Is it a bath in the morning instead of a shower and turning it into a mini ritual? What is it that you need to charge? Because you owe your life to what makes you come alive, not what makes you validated. What lights up your fucking soul so bright that it charges you like nothing else? That's what you owe your life to, not what makes you feel validated. My whole life, my validation came from saving people. Well, that fucked me up. It fucked me up greatly. But now I don't save people from themselves. I teach people how to save themselves. Two different things. And that still gets the same result for them. Actually, it'll give them a better result because they're more empowered and they can stand stronger, right? And it also protects my soul, my energy, and how I show up. So if what we're talking about today is hitting you in the chest, Queen, if you're feeling the pulse and the call to rise, to realign, and to remember who the fuck you really are, then I want you to know that your next step is simple. because I have created the frequency upgrade for exactly this. It's a personalized, channeled soul recalibration. It's not a coaching call. It's not another checklist. You don't need that bullshit. Okay. It is a direct activation to collapse your old patterns, amplify your personal power, and plug you back into your divine assignment. What you're here for, what you're here to learn, and how you're meant to feel while you're on this journey. So you don't need to schedule anything. You don't need to wait for permission. You just say yes. And then within days, your next evolution drops into your inbox. It's coded and it's created just for you. And I want you to know, and this is really, really, really important. You're literally just one frequency shift away from everything your soul already chose. See, when you're living life and you are going against what your soul came here for, there's a lot more turbulence. It's a lot more soul disconnection. It's a lot more external validation and fill up and internal abandonment and invisibleness and disconnection. So the link is in the show notes for you to check that out. And listen, you already know. And now it's time for you to choose the frequency that your soul's been waiting for. So check out the link in the show notes. Here's the other thing that I think is really powerful is that your body knows when it's misaligned. God, this is going to be a big one. Your energy whispers to you first. Then it screams. And your body knows the truth long before your mind ever gives permission for anything to change. See, depending on if I'm paying attention enough, and I'm learning to pay attention more than I ever have, every time I sat down to, let's say, do work, my soul shrank, depending on what kind of work I was doing. If I was doing work that was push, force, hustle, must do, should do, have to, it's going to get this result, da 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 da. People are depending on me, the obligation, da 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 da. And then I kept doing it anyways because it's what I thought I had to do. When I got done, my energy tank was negative. You do that a couple days in a row, you're so fucked within yourself that you can't seem to get back on track. Excuse me, things just don't feel right. You feel a little bit off or a lot off. And you usually will seek external help, support, validation, someone else showing up to get back into your rhythm. And that can really fuck things up. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how I how I notice my body saying no before my mouth ever could, and what I've had to go through in order to honor the no. So here's an example. My beautiful, beautiful friend the other day, my soul sister, she asked me for a favor. And listen, she's been asking me for about a month. And I let her know about a month ago that I would be able to honor this about mid to late May and to be able to show up and do this for her. It's energetic work, right? And holding space in an energetic container. And most days I've struggled for internal stability. Very little things can knock me off that stability. That's the last couple of, pieces coming together in the full completion of the Queen Alishia transformation. And it's, knowing how to calibrate and sync with myself without holding everyone's shit and leading them to their power place, right? And so it knocks my nervous system off track a lot because I'm used to holding so much and I'm not holding it anymore. So my nervous system is like, what the fuck? This is so uncomfortable. Like, we don't do this. Blah, 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 blah. And so little things can knock it off. So the day before this request, because she had asked me a few times in the last month and not ready, not ready, not ready. But this request came different because the day before she's like, hey, do you want to do it tomorrow? And I was like, well, let me see how I feel, right? This is another thing I'm learning not to make commitments too much in advance because my energy is going to dictate what I decide to do when it comes down to it. And so I said, well, let me see how I feel tomorrow. And so tomorrow came and she shot me a message. Hey, you ready for the session? And my stomach tightened. My chest started like Heart started racing and I got like cold. And so I knew it was an instant no. It was a no. So I picked up my phone and I started texting that I would, this is a real story. I started texting yes. I started, saying, okay, just give me some time, da 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 da. And I had even asked her, like, well, what does it all entail? Even though my body had already said no, I asked a question that didn't fucking matter. And then I was like, no, your body is saying no. This is what you've been working on for the last 5 weeks. It's coming down to these moments where people are asking for your time and energy, effort and attention. And the way you feel is going to give the answer. Like, this is what you've been working towards. And so the answer was no. So delete the message and I say no. Okay. Well, the response comes back, yeah, it's cool. Okay, so I know she's a little bit bummed, maybe a little irritated, let down, I know that that's what's going on. So now we've got the next layer. Now I'm feeling very, I don't know what the word is. We'll keep the word anxious. I don't know if it's anxious as much as it is a default mode. I'm feeling very like in my fragmented Alishia default mode of wanting to soften the blow of the no because it let her down. And that's emotional regulation for her, not me. So that would be me crossing a boundary that isn't mine to cross. That's me picking up some shit that's not mine to hold, right? So I'm wanting to cross this and be like, I just have a lot on my plate, over explain. If this is making sense, you know exactly where I'm going, right? I want to over explain. I want to just, soften the blow, quote unquote. It wasn't a blow, but you know what I mean? Soften the way that it feels and help her hold it a little bit and help her understand it a little bit. And it was like, no, my no is no. So instead, I had to really push myself to shift the conversation into some other things that she wrote and go that way instead of go down the path I've always gone down of regulating someone else's emotions because I know how to do it. I do it very well, but it's always at my own expense, right? So I honored myself A to Z on that. I think I made a slight fuck up in the beginning because I did do some explaining when I did say the no, but it's not about perfection, right? It's about the progress. So now it's like, okay, you have got to start saying no. So then yesterday, my mom texted me and she's like, hey, is it okay if I give your phone number to this lady? She has a small business. She really needs help getting it going. So I get ready to write her back. Yes, da 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 da. While my body is, stomach's contracting, my heart's starting to race. This one is minimal. The one with my friend, my soul sister, was like very like, ugh. But this one was minimal, but I could still feel the no. So I, getting ready, starting the message to her about, yeah, that's fine. Give her my information. And it was like, back it up, delete it, and write back and say, thank you so much for, thinking about me. That is a chapter that is closed in my life. I'm no longer a business coach. I focus on my soul astrology business full time, and that's where I'm meant to be. Send. Man, it was fucking powerful. It felt so goddamn good. I swear to God, it was like, fuck yes. Like, and listen, when I said it, and I've said this a lot in the past, so hearing that, if you've been in my world for a long time, it's not like that would be anything special. But here's the deal. Anytime I've ever said that in the past, I always still felt the pull of obligation and what was right to say yes. This time, I started out a habit, but felt so empowered and so solid and so clear that I'm not ever going back to that again. That's not part of what I am here to do. And yes, it was part of the journey or the distraction up to this point, but backwards is not the direction that I'm going. That's something that would drain my energy. That is something that would take me away from my North Star. That is something that would cloud and distort and take up space for my actual purpose and my actual brilliance and what I'm actually here for, which is teaching people how to save themselves. So if it drains your energy to do it, it's not alignment. It's a soul contract you've outgrown. If it drains your energy to do it, it's not alignment. It's a soul contract that you have outgrown. So I want to share with you, and I have talked about it a lot, and we're going to continue talking about it on the podcast because I want you to build your own soul codes on episode 0 of season 4, actually 000 of season 4. I talked about the different frameworks and that we would be bringing throughout, and the flamework, flare framework. God, say that 5 times fast. Oh my gosh. Now, since the original episode recording of season 4, my flare has been upgraded, which is, again, my soul code and what I live by. It's so powerful for me that is literally on canvases that I've painted, and each word is up above my TV. So when I'm looking at my TV, I see my solar flare, SOULAR flare, which now has one R is rise times 3. I have another R that is for rhythm, and then another R that's for rain. So it's pretty funny because now Flare has 3 R's. But anyways, so this framework has given me permission to let go, even when no one else understood, because it's my own soul code. And I really want to help you build your own soul code. And when we do your frequency upgrade, I'm sure that I will get downloads of what your soul code is, and it can be the baseline to help you start building it. Also, though, as you come into these sessions and you're listening and you are integrating the things that I'm sharing, and you are open to receiving information and messages through synchronicities and, things that happen, you're going to find your own soul code. So, um, for me, the F is flow, and I follow what feels nourishing, not just what looked impressive, right? I don't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the offer looks great. How does it feel inside? Love. I let myself release the past without shame. And that's how I gave myself love in this transformation. And I anchored and stayed grounded in my deeper truth and not the fear of letting people down. And it was hard, don't get me wrong. And so I had to use love to myself to not let the fear of letting people down overtake me, and just stayed anchored in the truth of what I was doing it for. At the end of the day, it benefits them well more than me picking up their shit and holding some of the weight. That stops them from doing the work that they truly need to do for themselves. And in the honor, I named the cost of staying and chose to exit with integrity. And it's like staying and chose to exit it. It's like staying in this dynamic, in this relationship, staying in this dynamic energy with myself, staying in this container of treating myself like I don't matter. And then the rise times 3, I walked through the self and the relational and the daily codes to build a new way forward. You learn all of these things, and you will throughout season 4. You'll learn it through the frequency upgrade and the celestial soul circles and your soul chart readings and the discover your soul blueprint class. And in basically what I'm saying, in my paid and free containers, you're going to learn these different frameworks. And some of the frameworks are standard frameworks that you're going to apply to your life across the board. However, Flare is my soul code, right? It's what leads me. And listen, you get to reassign your energy. Your no is sacred. You don't need permission to leave what no longer feeds your soul. You don't need permission to say no when you know that your soul doesn't want to do that. You don't need validation when you say no, and you don't need to be told that it's okay. And here's the deal. A lot of the time, it is not going to be okay when you're saying no to someone else from their perspective. That is their burden. That is their emotional regulation. That is their emotional intelligence that needs to be built to understand that it's not someone else's job to be at their beck and call and to do what they feel that they need or want that person to do at the time that they need or want that person to do it. If your energy, your time, your attention, your power does not say hell yes, then it's a hell no. And if someone can't respect that you don't have that to give, that's their burden. You don't need validation for that when you choose you. So now it's time to reassign your energy and ask yourself, what am I only doing because I'm good at it? Or slash, what am I doing because it's the right thing to do? Who actually benefits from me staying in this role? And who do I become when I stop? Next better question is, how do I feel when I give to myself? What am I doing because I'm good at it or because it's the right thing to do? Who benefits from me staying in this role? And who do I become when I stop? Or how do I feel when I give to myself first? ... That last question, it's going to feel off and bad. Your nervous system, like mine, is probably going to lose its mind because it's different. It's uncomfortable. This isn't right. Alarms are going off and it's signaling, this isn't what we do. This isn't how we operate. This is going to fucking collapse. It's all going to burn down. It's going to catch on fucking fire. Somebody's going to die, and it's going to lose its mind. And then when you honor how your nervous system is feeling, and you love yourself through it, and you empower yourself through rituals and mantras and meditation and the music and the different things that you do, your nervous system will rewire, resync, and recalibrate to that no longer being something that serves you. And your nervous system will realize that that isn't something that you now gravitate to. It will understand that you don't hold that, you don't do that, and it will understand it's because it kills your soul. It's your job to train it. Okay? Keep that in mind. So if you're ready to stop surviving your life and start choosing it, then your frequency upgrade is waiting. So remember that link is in the show notes. And I want you to declare this truth. I am not what I can do. I am who I choose to be for me. I am not just what I can do. I am who I choose to be for me. I am not what I can do. I am who I choose to be for me. Embody this. Choose yourself so completely that nobody gets to question your worth again. Extend to your soul the same mercy you once gave away to people who fucking dropped it. And stop shrinking to be chosen by people who can't even hold you. You're not a placeholder. You're the fucking revolution. So show up, speak up, and burn the damn box. I'm Power Coach Alishia, and this is your invitation to rise.